When it comes to fashion, I feel like it is an expression of individuality.
She even managed to make a dress out of paper toilets. Go creative with whatever you want to design. And I think I only spent $3 for my whole outfit. I used
It's not always rainbows and ponies, yeah? I think they do not trust the quality of a Bruneian designer.
Basically, they have this perspective on just Bruneians.
It makes me cry at night. Why is it mahal?
kenapa bidat tua, something like that. Or like, calm down.
Gotta chill, girl.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Spectrum podcast, produced and led by final year DCI students. We're the host for today's episode. I am Jiah.
And I'm Tirra. And if you're new here, Spectrum Podcast is still fresh and growing. We are here where we invite these expertise, talents, and businesses to share their stories, successes, failures, advices, and anything.
Before that, interesting enough, our publishing and editorial team had also published the creative issue number 9, where we talked about all the appreciating photography and fashion. So if you haven't, do check them out. Back to our guest.
So for today, we're getting dressed up to discuss the booming fashion scene in Brunei with our two very talented and special guests.
Please introduce yourself. What do you do and what are your interests?
Hello everyone, I'm Umi. I'm the owner of Balkish.official and I'm currently working an insurance agent. I mean, you can see how I transit from a fashion designer to a insurance agent, but I'm just still trying to get hang of it.
Wow, Umi, that's quite impressive.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Farhanna. I am the owner of a fashion brand called Forre. I think we've been in the industry for 13 years now, since May 2010. I just actually finished my corporate life back in July this year. So I'm fully committed to Forre now. And it's my number one baby.
So like what is fashion to you, starting with you, Farhanna?
To me, fashion is unique. When it comes to fashion, I feel like it is an expression of individuality. It's an extension of yourself, myself, and it's also an expression of art. I think, to me, on its own, fashion is very subjective as well. So as I said, for me, it's very much to do with individuality.
I agree with her. It's a way of to express yourself, and it's a way the way you can express yourself. It's without saying a word. Like you can wear whatever you want, and that's how you express yourself.
See, it's like a first impression thing. The first thing you see from a person about how their characteristics are through how they dress. So our next question is, how and when did you start designing? What made you pursue fashion as a career or side hustle?
This is quite a very different story. So I was reluctantly took sociology as my major. One of my friends said to me, "Hey Umi, you remind me of Phoebe Buffet from Friends because she's funny." Mm-hmm. And my other friend disagreed. He said, "No lah, she reminds me of Rachel Greaves." And to be honest, I never watched Friends. I never watched Friends.
Same.
Yeah. So I got interested. So I watched Friends, binge watching. And Rachel really impressed me, like how she started as a spoiled girl. And then she worked really hard as a waitress. And then she got excited when she worked at the Bloomingdale's. And then she worked at Ralph Lauren. And she was so close to working at the Louis Vuitton in Paris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it was Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, Ralph Lauren. And then she was almost Kanantar to Paris, right? To work at Louis Vuitton. So from there, I think I had an epiphany. And I realized I am into fashion. It started when I was a kid. So why didn't I pursue it? So from there, I slowly started to, watch YouTube, watch fashion runways, and then read fashion magazine like the Harper or Vogue magazine. And then I think it's already started since I was a kid. My mom was my fashion icons. So even when I was watching TV, like I would tell my mom, well, can you make that baju for me? Like buy the fabric and then send to the tailor. Like I want that the girl on the TV wearing. I want it. Can you do that for me? But the more I grow up, I feel like my passion for fashion, it fell back because kind of my surrounding, they said like if you want to be successful, you have to study hard, you have to be academically good, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a doctor. But yeah, I didn't realize that working in the fashion world can be a career here in Brunei.
Oh, definitely.
So, yeah,
Definitely. I have to vouch for that, Umi.
yeah.
So, speaking about having that dream, it's actually an Asian parent dream to make sure that the kids, I can understand it. It basically means it's not only in Brunei, having a career in medicine or just, being a lawyer. It's something that has been
around for
the
ages,
longest
yeah.
time.
It's stable.
Exactly, it's stable. Like, having a government job, having a 9 to 5, that's something that's very stable because it gives you money. It gives you salary every single month. That's stability for you, right? But what parents don't understand back in the day is that, for example, like right now, what we are in, the industry that we're in is fashion, right? It doesn't make money because what fashion looks like back in the day is that it's only a tailoring business. It's basically sew and cut. They don't really understand what design is because you can actually just copy design from a magazine,
definitely, yes.
And then that's basically it. That's what fashion is to them. So this is something that I would like to clarify today in this podcast. Fashion is not equivalent to tailoring. That's a major pet peeve when it comes to fashion designers, because tailoring tailoring is not it's not a bad word. It's actually something, it's a skill.
Yes,
it's
a skill.
Yeah, it's part of fashion, right? However, it's something that it's part of the process, right? So coming back to my story, I first started wanting to do fashion because of the Spice Girls. Okay, so if you have girl power, that's what I want to do, right? I wanted to do fashion when I was a very, very young teenager. My first dress that I designed for myself was for a prom. And up till now, prom has been my most favorite piece to design,
It brings you back to your
It
childhood.
brings back to my memory, especially when you want to impress a boy.
Yeah. So did you design your own prom dress?
I designed my own prom dress.
That was your first dress?
My first dress, and then I got a lot of compliments for it. Back in the day, it was basically you have that goth vibe, Spice Girls is something that the girls I actually look up to because I really wanted to do something when it comes to women empowerment. Just like Umi, my mom is someone I look up to, and I look up to so many ambitious, strong women because I feel like women is the future. So, sorry, gentlemen. Women is the future.
We drive the economy with fashion. Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm actually quite proud with how fashion has come to now, especially when in Brunei itself. Okay, let's not talk about Southeast Asia or Malaysia or wherever. I think in Brunei itself, it has come to a very good point. I am currently appointed as the president of the Fashion Designers Alliance, which was just recently brought up, I think back in 2019, just before the pandemic. It was funny because some of the designers who came up to me and asked me, do you want to have a community that does this, help out the fashion ecosystem in Brunei? And I'm like, yeah, why not? So they appointed me as a president, and that's something that I want to do to empower the fashion designers and the creative economy here in Brunei. Okay, I think I went overboard.
Besides, it's like clothing is like the first level of needs in our human, but there's also the levels of trying to self-realize yourself, and there's different people who are like have different kind of style, so they want to show themselves out.
So in a way, like clothes, what I see clothes as like, it's like the first thing that you notice of a person. Like what you wear is basically like a window to your style, your personality. Like people dress how they feel. Yeah, so like I think that like in terms of fashion, like it's such a like I'm so glad that in Brunei that is starting to be more progressive. Like people are starting to open up with the fact that like it's not a 9 to 5 job. And I think even like the older generations, like they're getting to open up.
acknowledge,
Yeah, they're getting to
Yeah.
open up with like this whole industry even with like other industries similar to fashion. And yeah, like I'm so glad that it's actually really progressing very well.
Progressing. Yeah. I'm also very happy, and then there's actually an audience there. Also, small girls who wants to be, not only girls but boys too, who wants to be a creative or a fashion designer. It's not or a fashion stylist.
Because boys are not like, they're not limited to just boring old t-shirt every day.
I'll tell you what. So my kids, I've got kids, right? I've got a set of twins. They are a boy and a girl who are very much into Roblox right now. They're like Roblox and Fortnite on and on, right? Every single day now that it's the school holidays. So my boy is showing interest in fashion because he is currently dressing his avatars. He's constantly changing his skins every single day. And I realized that it's because he has a taste for style. So fashion is not equivalent to style, but it's more like, his individual taste, Yeah. So
You saying that, does it like remind you of yourself? Like do you see your son and your daughter in you? Like because you mentioned that like Umi, like you look up to your mom, and with your kids, like do you think that's the same case?
I don't think they have looked up to me just yet, to be honest, because they're only 6 now. And then my youngest is 4, a girl. Obviously, she's currently into princesses. She also loves dresses. Just like Umi, she likes all this Renaissance princess stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna change for in the future. But they always come to me when it comes to this. So they're like, "Mommy, this is really pretty, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So mommy, and then with Asfar, the boy, he would always ask me for my,
Input.
yeah, he would be like, "Mommy, is my avatar really cool?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's really, really cool." So
That's really good.
Yeah.
He sees you as this certified person. Like just I can rely on my mom. I can rely
Besides,
on my
if
mom.
it's like Roblox, it's low risk for him. He doesn't waste anything while expressing his creativity.
yeah. And I think it's just a start
Yeah.
for now. Yeah.
So like if it wasn't, let's say in the universe where your kids are not into fashion, like would as a parent, like would you be okay with your kids liking other things?
Of course. Now that I see them growing up, I would really encourage them to do just whatever they like. Be it an astronaut, see, ambitious mom, or even, I don't know, a gamer. I don't know, you go live on Twitch, you earn money. As long as you earn money for yourself, why not? And not only earn money, be passionate. Yeah. that's
Because you
important.
cannot keep up if it's not sustainable. If it's not from your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
The next question, what is your philosophy and thought process behind making and designing clothes?
A thought process. Now that I speak to clients every other day, I think my thought process first would be I would actually interview my client first.
So you have a consultation.
Yeah. So yeah, consultation is very, very important. We would go through an appointment first, and then I would ask, so tell me about yourself. Okay. So it's like a quick interview. Just want to get to know how my clients are, right? And they would tell me what their personnel style is, what they do as a job, their everyday life. So it's going to take about 15 to 30 minutes, roughly. If they are a bride, I would ask them, so the couple, what is their love story? Yeah. What is their love story? You tell me now. I just want to know. I just want to understand. From there, I could actually gauge like, okay, so this lady, this bride who is a classy lady who wants to portray or project herself as this very ambitious woman, who is, like, for example, if it's in a setting where it's for a conference outside of Brunei, or or a meeting or business meeting or whatever, she wants to project herself as the lady in the room that makes a presence. Or maybe even if it's for a gala night, she's going to be the belle of the ball. Or my favorite, the goal is for her to win best dress. And I'm like, yeah, girl, okay, why not? Let's do this. Let's do best dress. And alhamdulillah, they actually
They
won best dress.
Wow.
Quite a few.
How many percentages is that?
85%. 85%. It's quite high, but okay, I'm gonna humble brag now, okay? Okay. There are some times when my clients do not like my work. I'm gonna tell you this right now because it's not always rainbows and ponies, yeah? But yeah, there are some clients who really do not like my work, and I think it's because when I put my spin into it, that's when they feel like, oh, it's not really my thing.
So that they don't, like, in a way, they don't really trust your
Some
judgment.
unfortunately, some Bruneians, it's a bit sad for me to say this, but some clients who are Bruneians feel like
they need to micromanage.
Yeah, micromanage, and at the same time, I think they do not trust the quality of a Bruneian designer. No matter how many times or how many years you have been putting your effort into this industry, I feel like they haven't really trust because
I think it's like they have this perspective, like,
Yeah.
oh, they're just Bruneians.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
it's not that good compared to, like, they assume that people abroad are like much more better.
Exactly,
yeah.
because I mean, if you see the Malaysian designers, they have been around for the longest time. You've got Malaysian fashion designers established from the 60s, 50s, or whenever. But Brunei is just starting. So I don't really blame them, but it's also actually sad to see that they're not entrusting us into,
Just the fact that because they're local as well, they would support like local. It's a thing, huh? Like in terms of like local businesses, even for like a Bruneian, like they're not, they wouldn't be like, oh, like this is the best. Like this is not the how would you say this? Basically they have this perspective on just Bruneians.
Yeah, I think it's also stemming from a point where it comes to quality. I have to admit sometimes quality can be compromised, and
We're lacking of materials here in Brunei.
exactly. Yeah, that's right, Umi. Actually,
Though I can imagine that in Malaysia back then when they're just starting, it's just they're facing the same thing also. It's a cycle. I mean, not a cycle. It's a process. Yeah.
To a bigger thing.
Yeah.
For a bigger
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
So give us a chance.
Yeah.
So harsh on us.
But yeah, I think that's one of the challenges. Coming back to the question that you just asked as well, another thought process would be when I actually create a collection. I was just telling Umi just now that I don't really, I have to have some zen time, like, a downtime.
Yeah. That's important.
That's really important. So I don't really look at fashion as literal fashion or designs or whatever. I would just go out, and when I do travel, I love people watching. Oh, I love people watching. I love just sitting down in a cafe, drinking my coffee, and I would just observe
people, like
people.
what
Have
they
you
wear.
like thought of what your lives are like?
Yes,
Also, like,
always.
you deep delve into like what. Okay, this person might be a classy girl.
Yeah.
She's
their
like
life
she's
story.
very like a whole narrative.
Yeah, all the time, especially when when the background is like skyscrapers, and then you've got busy people just walking around, and they're like frowning, and at the same time some of them just on the phone, like legitly talking to some, I don't know, supplier or a business partner, and I'm like, if it was me living in this city, how would my life be like? Something like
So
that.
like when you do people watch, do you have this imagination where you're like, oh, she would like fit this style, like you have this whole like a whole catalog.
Yeah,
You're
in my head,
right.
like, oh, she would be the perfect enough for her muse, something like that.
But prior to your answer, talking about like your clients, like saying like, oh, like this girl, she's more classy, she's more mysterious. Like, how do you, when you design a piece, like how would you design, let's say, a woman who is bold? Like, how do you express that in terms with your tailoring?
Oh, that's my middle name right there when it comes to bold. Because when it comes to now Forre, I think I mentioned it just now. I don't know if I mentioned this. We're very much, our aesthetic is very much fashion forward. So what that basically means is that when I create something with songket, I want to inject a little bit of femme fatale in it. You know, like a little bit of like cool, edgy, something that's very assertive. Like, hi, I'm here. Listen to me. This is what I want to say, and this is what I'm gonna bring to the table.
So like, do you add like more texture, materials, colors, style?
I think I would add more the edginess from there. I think it would be the cut. For me, it needs to cut like blazer. So when I look
rough.
at this is literal, right? So when it comes to like a cut on the collar, it looks really structured and it has that edge, you know. And like I'm gonna when you see me wearing that blazer, it feels like I'm literally slaying. Okay, that's the word for now, right? Slaying. Yeah, there you go.
It's sharp.
Yeah, it's very sharp. Yeah, so that's something that I really like. I think it's because it also stems from my corporate job back then.
So you notice when you're during your corporate job, like you notice a lot of people
women especially. I mean, I like how men looks really sharp as well, and I want that to be in a woman as well.
For your male clients, like how would you design a bold, like strong? Because I noticed that you do like focus more on women, because you, like you said, like for childhood, like you support women power. But in terms of men, like, because they are male clients, right? How do you deal with that? Like,
I do have male clients. However, I'm a bit picky when it comes to men. So especially when I interview them. However, I feel like when it comes to men, how I would style or design for them is very easy. Like when it comes to men, it can't be too much. It needs to be as simple as possible. Still looking sharp, very dashing. A girl can fall for him in a minute. That's just it. As long as you look sharp, dashing, and simple, that's it. I don't really like to go extra.
It can be like a simple button-down shirt and then a trouser with a belt.
Yeah. Nothing too
less is
frumpy.
more.
Yes, exactly. I think that's what I would like when it comes to even bridal. When it comes to the songket bridal wear for men, I wouldn't even go with all the metal stuff here. You know, it's just like a simple brooch, the duster with the brooch. That's just it.
And then it needs to be right cutting for your body.
Exactly.
Structured.
That's right, Umi. That's right.
okay. How about for you? Like, we have
My thought process, I think most of the time I just design mentally instead of sketching everything. I just swing it. Like I would go to a fabric shop, pick out the fabric, and then design in my mind. Like I would tell the tailor, "Can you do this?" And then when I receive back my dresses, I would shop for laces and then just go for whatever creative I have in my mind. That's it.
do you just like wake up one day and you're just like, I'm just gonna go to a tailor shop?
I would do that if I have money, like, you know, make more my own collection, make more dresses, you know, just to do it all the way. Yeah.
Would you say you're like the type of girl that would just like, you wake up early in the middle of the night, you're just like you just like write all your ideas
I think
down?
that happened to me like maybe twice a week. Like I woke up at 1 a.m. and I have this, you know, like I have event for this Friday. I would go to Pinterest and then check for the design, and then okay, tomorrow morning I'll go to the tailor and then do what the design I want.
Those kind of feeling are kind of like annoying, right? Because if you don't like pour it out on your paper, you will never go back.
I know. I just wing it.
You'll just lose the idea right away. Yeah.
It just
happens to me all the time.
I think the best ideas usually comes like that though.
Around that time, especially 1 a.m. That's actually true. It's funny how, like, before I go to sleep, that's when the ideas come in. And I just...
Before we move on to the next question, Farhanna, we understand that you are very experienced in the fashion industry for Bruneian, and you recently got a chance to represent Brunei Fashion Design Alliance at the World Conference of Creative Economy in Bali. So you have more insight on the fashion world in Southeast Asia. Our question is, what or who is your main inspiration when it comes to designing your clothing lines or your garments, your work?
I was just telling Umi earlier on when we had this conversation, I don't really have a person who I really look up to because I've got so many. So many. And I look at designers who are closer to what I like and basically my aesthetic, right? And that would be, I can't really pronounce her name very well. It's Amy Smilavejic. I'm sorry, Amy, if I mention your name very wrongly, but I don't know if you've heard of a brand called Tibi. Tibi is, what she likes to do is basically functional mixed with fashion. And I think that's very important when it comes to designing a garment for just a person in general, right? The person that I really like to go to is Victoria Beckham. I talked about the Spice Girls a lot. I talk about the Spice Girls all the time when it comes to my interviews. And Victoria Beckham, why do I find her very impressive is because from being a pop star, she wasn't very popular in Spice Girls. I don't think she was the most popular band member, but at the same time, she worked herself so much, and she has actually gradually become into a person who found her passion. And now she has also moved on to beauty, which I find very, very inspiring. Coming back to the idea of being involved in so many events outside of Brunei, I think inspiration-wise, I would say the designers that have been showcasing during the fashion shows or any creative events, I feel like I'm also inspired by them. I learn from them. I want to understand how their creative process goes and how they actually live their life. I didn't mention this earlier. I'm not a fashion educated, just like Umi. I've always wanted to do fashion design as a degree back then, but I didn't have the chance. So I wouldn't know what the traditional way of designing a collection or designing a garment. And I think right now in this day and age, it's a little bit more different because it really depends on the designer themselves. Like you don't need to even start off with a mood board. Okay. You can actually just be inspired with anything and then come back and then you place it on a mood board just to visualize what you want to build or what you want to design. And then the mood board actually helps you to, be more consistent when it comes to designing a collection or, making a garment itself for that particular client. What I really learned as well from them is that delivering quality and being very consistent to what your brand represents is very, very important. So inspiration, draws back to that as well. And I think being able to be delivering not only for the Bruneian audience is something that you need to look outside as well. I think the government even said to us once upon a time in the news or somewhere that the youth or businesses shouldn't be just focusing what we have here, but also out of Brunei, because I think that is where you will be putting Brunei into map. That's my favorite phrase, actually, putting Brunei into the map, and I'm very, very passionate about that. Just recently, a designer featured in Born Bulletin was also sent to Thailand, Bangkok, to present their collection, and I'm very, very impressed in how they brought the Bruneian identity into the outside world. And that was always my number one goal, to make sure that it's not only for myself. The success doesn't only come from myself, but the success is also bringing the nation outside of Brunei, just because Brunei, it's like, we're very young. We were just talking about this just now, right? We're very young when it comes to all of this new industries. So what we want to do is we want to uplift. And I think I was also talking to you about this just now, Tirra, that when it comes to competition, now it is not the time to compete with one another, but to be inspired with one another and to learn from each other and then bring the Bruneian name, because we're so small. We're so small to compete so much. At the end of the day, what I like to do is when it comes to my bridal service, I like to also have like my tiaras. When my client needs a tiara, I would go and I'll source it from a different Bruneian vendor and just hey, why don't you go through this vendor? They have like really good tiaras, and then also uplift the makeup artists. Because at the end of the day, fashion in Brunei is a very, very niche market. I would say that I would like to uplift the creative economy in Brunei. Fashion is just part of it. I can lead the fashion industry, but at the same time, to make sure that everything, to enhance the economy itself, let's start with the creative industry, because there's just so many talents in there. And I think, to be honest with you, I think we are ready. We are ready to be in that stage to show Brunei what we can do.
This is what our podcast is all about, our spectrum in general. Like, this is just trying to bring in more new talents, specifically people who hasn't shown their work because they're too shy, or like they just don't know if their work is good enough. And there are so many talents that are not known, which is really sad. And I do agree that we should.
Yeah, I mean, it's high time. It's 2022 and end of 2022 now. And I think it's time for Brunei to shine.
I think that's the problem among the older generation, because they believe that in this creative industry, we don't really consider it as successful because we don't really make more money compared to those, like what Farhanna mentioned earlier, the 9 to 5 jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're ready to actually change that perspective, just that mindset needs to be buried.
Though I do understand that in order to create something, you must have money. So, like, yeah.
Yes, you need to have the financial resources to support you. But there's also some organizations right now, like for example, DARE, and then you've got Progressive there to support you. These are just organizations that I'm just naming right now. But, at the end of the day, I think organizations in Brunei out there, they are trying to find businesses who they can actually help and support. So far, Alhamdulillah, I think MCYS, Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, have been helping the youth to also, bring them outside of Brunei to showcase what they can do. And they've been doing that tirelessly for the past few years. And I'm also very grateful with their support.
Coming back to the question, how about you, Umi? What or who is your main inspiration when designing clothes?
First thing first, my mom was my fashion icon since I was a kid. But since I'm more into the real world of fashion right now, my top 3 is, I'm scared to pronounce her name. She's a Chinese fashion designer. GUOP.
Guopei?
Yeah, Guopei.
Yeah, Guopei's amazing.
Yeah, I just discovered her on TikTok. Do you see the dress that she made? The flowy one, the silver, and the, what do you call that? The feathers.
Yeah, Rihanna wore her dress.
The yellow one, right?
Yeah.
The gold one. Second and third one is the Lebanese fashion designer, Zuhair Murat and Ilisab. The reason why these 3 are my main inspirations because they specialize in haute couture, which is what Balkish really specialize in, and their work are very laborious, lavish, and luxurious. It's something I want Balkish to represent.
And it sounds like you're inspired by the fashion designers who are rooted with their culture. Can you say that Balkish is also, the fashion design is very rooted in tradition and culture?
Yeah, I think I do want to start something with what I am. I mean, I'm a pure Malay, right? Maybe I can start with a batik or songket and but modernize it and make it more extra and make it something that Balkish different than what the other design is. So I do want to represent the traditional Brunei clothing. Like Farhanna, she did very well with the songket one. I was really impressed by that. Yeah, she has the mixture of what traditional and modern. But for me, I want traditional but extra. Yeah, very extra, like very royalty, very Renaissance.
Given the
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for.
Before I go to the next question, I want to ask Farhanna and Umi as well, like in terms of resources, because for Farhanna, you wanted to support and bring up the rise in like local businesses, like makeup artists and such. Do you like get resources from Brunei, like in terms of material, like makeup artists as well? It's just all pure Brunei.
The very day I started, I think it's just really easy to get everything in Brunei. Yes, it's going to be very expensive. Yes, that's true. However, it's actually the same pricing when you actually buy it from outside of Brunei and then ship it into Brunei. And then the time that you're actually waiting. But at the same time, maybe people will, not agree with me with this. I think like some other designers also, they would buy their fabrics from China, which is great. You do you. And at the same time, yes, it might be a bit cheaper, but you also have to buy it in bulk. But because my target audience and how I do my business is very much to do with a made-to-measure business, very bespoke. I don't really have the time to actually just buy it outside of Brunei and then wait for shipping to come. and I don't really want to have inventory or stock, you know. That's where sustainability comes in as well. And it has always been my number one thing, to make sure that when it comes to financial resources, like Umi, I think I told you guys this, that Umi reminds me of me when I first started. Like I really didn't know where to go, you know. I thought to myself, you know, I don't really have the financial resources to actually maintain this business. But how do I do this cleverly? You have it in Brunei. You have tailoring is actually a culture in Brunei, you know. Not only in Brunei, but I found out that it's also in Africa because of their different sizes. When I first started, I actually launched a ready-to-wear collection, but that didn't do so well because I forgot about women's sizes. They have different sizes. You can have SML.
That was my struggle too.
Mhm. Yeah, you have SML, but how is SML gonna fit into a lady who is curvier down and smaller on the shoulders and the bust, you know? So I learned that, and then I was like, okay, you know what? Put that aside, and I don't want to put this inventory just there, the stock just there. Sell it off. Let's start again the next year, and let's just introduce made to measure. This is where I actually got my first wave of clients, where I actually thought, you know, okay, this is working, you see? And I feel like that we do have the resources here in Brunei. Yes, it is expensive, but it works.
It's just happened to me 2 weeks ago. My former supervisor, she's an Indian, and she was having an Indian wedding. So I thought, like, you know, basic, you just have to buy sari. And then when I browsed sari, it was very expensive, and I was broke. So you know what I did? I have this old top from, it's embarrassing to say, Shane, and I just used my old laces, cut it into small pieces, and layered it. And it looks really nice. It looks like the top is bought from a clothing shop instead of I tailored it myself. And then the sari, I just used shawl and then sew the border to make it look like sari, because I can't afford sari. It's $60 now. Yeah, as long as you have the skill, you can, you know, go creative with whatever you want to design.
Innovate, yeah?
That's
Yeah.
basically what fashion
It's about-
started off
Yeah,
as, like just
exactly.
you working with what material you have and just using your own skill to build.
Yeah.
Exactly. You
And
don't
I-
have to go all bougie.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think I only spent $3 for my whole outfit. I used old skirt, and then the $3 was just only the ribbon for the border for my shawl. That's it. Everything was off, but it turned out good.
I can imagine like so like do you like sew your own clothes as well? Like have you done that?
No, I tried to, but it's hard. So I always ended up just design it and send it to the tailor, and then design the rest of the details myself. That's my specialty. Tailoring, no, I can't do it.
But do you think that you're gonna go towards that? Like
I try to, but it's still hard for me. Like, it's a whole lot of process, but no.
It's a different skill.
Yeah.
Dressmaking altogether. Just like Umi, I'm the same. I can't sew. I'm just putting the reality out there. Like, there's this stigma saying that you know, as a fashion designer, you need to know how to sew, you need to know how to tailor, you need to know how to do everything. But if you can innovate and be smart about it, you work smart.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, why don't you? You know? And then, yes, call yourself a fashion designer, call yourself a fashion stylist, call yourself a dressmaker if you have the skill to show the world out there. And then, you know how the famous phrase, fake it to make it? It's for real. It's for real. Famous blogger, Tirra Jiah, or however you pronounce it. I'm sorry, I'm not Italian. She first started off blogging, influencing through social media, I believe with fake designer bag, making herself look like she's this really rich socialite. Guess where she is today? She owns all of these businesses, and she actually owns real designer bags now, designer outfits, because she was given designer outfits.
Reminds me of Amber Shaw. Have you heard of her? Yeah, she also a YouTuber. She started just vlogging, but then I think because she doesn't have much money, so she tried to make herself look like the rich girl. You know, use fake designer bag.
Yeah,
And then
perspective.
she
right?
even managed to make a dress out of paper toilets. paper toilets and then trash bags, but it looks awesome. And then right now she owns her own jewelry lines. Yes, she's quite successful right now. I've been following her since 2016 when she lived in an apartment. Right now she owns a penthouse because of her hardworking. Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Out
go.
of toilet papers and trash bags.
Yeah. Interesting, right?
As long as you have the vision.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the idea that you're selling, yeah, maybe I should. What's the biggest obstacle in making a bespoke tailoring business in Brunei?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I think we're just lacking of materials. Is that the right answer? Well,
From experience, if it is, then yeah, it is. For me, meeting clients' expectations, servicing the challenging ones, that's the best part. Even though it's challenging, it's always the best part. It makes me cry at night to my husband, but at the end of the day, it satisfies you when they're satisfied. However, and sometimes you have clients who doesn't understand your process. I was just saying just now that when it comes to quality, they don't understand. Why is it mahal? Why is it this? Why is it that? Why does it look like this? Why is it, why? Sometimes I feel like saying, if you know how to, design yourself, please, do yourself lah. But I'm like, no, I can't do that. Never. No.
even when you try to explain to them, they wouldn't listen, right?
Yeah, that's because to each to their own, right? They have their own way of thinking. Sometimes as a creative, you have to be very wise in how to actually approach people like this. They can be very difficult, but at the end of the day, I think if you're wise enough with how you deliver and solve this issue, then you're the winner.
But give us an insight, like an example of one of your tough clients. How would you deal with a challenging one?
So this actually comes from basically designing an outfit, especially when it comes to a person who is very indecisive, right? Very indecisive. It's like, oh, will it look good on me? I'm not too sure, especially when she's insecure. Okay, because we have a lot of women who's insecure, I myself is one of them. I'm not going to deny that, but it really depends on how you handle these people. So for me, I had a very insecure pride. I think quite a few. It's just that, you just have to, that Bruneian term, alay them, calm them down. Say, you know what? If you feel like it doesn't look good on you, let's try something else. Let's find a solution. I'm not going to lie, okay? I do feel like, oh my God, this girl, she's not trusting me. She's not giving me all the trust. Why am I working with her? But at the end of the day, the reason why she came to you is because she has heard of you and she trusts you the first time, but she's not trusting herself, you see. At the end of the day, it just comes from me talking to her, and I'm just trying to do my best. So as I said, the brides can be very indecisive. It's just a matter of insecurity. You just have to really communicate to them is very, very important.
Showing them the path.
Yeah, and telling them, you know what, you're going to look like a gorgeous bride. Don't worry. At the end of the day, just don't worry. You gotta chill, girl. Yeah, take a chill pill.
So maybe, I don't know if I could say this, but maybe that's why in countries abroad, when they do bride, just shopping for their weddings, they would have champagne to calm the bride down, that's
The entourage.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason why they do that.
Yeah, and that's why I tell them when, okay, so my studio is in Kulap, just right above Balcony restaurant. Just have to walk right up, and it's very taxing to go up. It's very tiring. You literally, I tell my clients, drink a lot of water because you have to hike, okay, the stairs. And then when they sit down, I say, you know what, just take a breather. And in my fitting room, I would put, I'll lit candles and then make them feel zen. And when they look at the dress, they start questioning. I'm like, okay, let's try it first. How do you feel like? And I'll ask them, how do you feel in this? Do you feel like you're not pretty? I'm not too sure. Okay, let's work on this. It's quite challenging, but at the end, it's satisfying.
So you've worked with bridezillas before?
A lot of bridezillas. A lot. I'm not going to deny that. And we're not hating on the bridezillas. I understand the psychology behind it. It's really difficult when you are going to be, the pressure. The pressure.
And you think this event will be the one and only event in your lifetime? So
you want it to be perfect, right? There's no perfect.
Yes. Agreed. How about you, Umi?
As I mentioned earlier, I think it's just the materials. Like, as someone who's very extra and I want to dress something princessy, like from the 70s, 80s, we're lacking of materials. Even if I want to design a corset, I don't think I have the right materials or a tailor to do that for me. Yeah, that's my biggest obstacle.
But like you've worked with people before, like clients.
Yeah, I did. I do a full-time job as a boutique assistant. So from there, I think I can relate to Farhanna's also, dealing with the bride. What do you call that? Bridezillas. Yeah, because they said like when their event is like 3 weeks to go, they asked me like, hey, is my dress ready? I said we're in the process of doing the patching, and they said, can you take a picture? My answer is never send pictures hanging from a hanger to a client. They would be dissatisfied. They have to wear it to make themselves feel great, because just hanging and then just take picture, they would hesitate like, is that really my dress? It looks really terrible. That's why I usually just blue tick them, just leave them like that, and then I would text them, hey, your dress is ready, you can come for fitting. And then even I can observe from their face, like when I took out the dress, like, okay, this is your dress, I'll put it in the fitting room. They would like, kenapa bidat tuh, something like that. But it's your design, when we did consultation, I drew the sketches, and then this is what you want, right? And they said, okay. Like, are you even listening to me? Like, this is your design, confirm, Yeah, okay, we'll proceed like that. And then when I put it in the fitting room, and then I help them zip up their dress, and then keluar bertah dirang happy. Yeah,
Trust the
so
process.
yeah, I cannot take pictures to send it. They would like even call or video call me just to make sure their dress is in process. But I would just, nope, I'm just gonna do your dress and I'm just gonna ignore the phone,
But have you had like people who are like pestering you all the time? Like, how some clients, they really want an answer.
Yes.
Yeah. Most of them are like that, especially the brides. The brides are very the one insecure. Like, is my dress ready? Hindi siya patah lagi the event eh. But they check like, it's 3 weeks to go. Like, calm down.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of the podcast. Before we wrap this up, what do you want to see more in the future within the fashion industry?
I wish fashion runways is allowed in Brunei. Yeah. Do you agree, or?
Unfortunately, we cannot. We can never have a fashion runway.
But would you make one though?
There's always a different way to present your designs. It does not need to be a runway. You just need to be creative with it. We can do something that's digital. That is allowed. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to dress models who walk down and parade themselves due to Sharia. Yeah, Sharia compliant. However, so that's a very nice way to put to start off this conversation. The Fashion Designers Alliance, as well as designers outside the community, would love to have some sort of a fashion week in Brunei, and that is something that we have always been in the talks with the Collective Arts, who is a dear friend of mine who we actually started a bit in the industry the same time. So we've actually talked about it for the past 10 years now. It's just we need to navigate a way on how to, present this, other than just having a runway. As I said, there's always a way to present it. We have to be very ready with what's coming and be very current. I mentioned just now that fashion in Brunei is very early. However, the world out there is already progressing. And then, I don't know if you heard of the evolution of technology when it comes to Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. Have you heard of Web 3? Yeah. So we're entering that. And then it's something that I feel like we should already have a step foot in. And I think there is already a community who's doing that, especially Brunei NFT. Shout out Brunei NFT. I know a few people who's already leading that, and that's great. That's why I said, Brunei has a lot of creative talents who is already there. It's just that we're not showcasing them just yet. And you guys are doing that. Kudos to you. It's already a start. And I feel like what I hope to have is that we get the recognition out there, being a country that can actually showcase our talents when it comes to creativity and fashion, and then be more open to fashion designers from Brunei. Don't worry, we can definitely deliver. You know, it really depends on your choices. We're actually committed to presenting this to the outside world. Just give us a chance and we'll definitely work our way.
Brunei, give us a chance.
And as I said, in the likes of London, Thailand, Qatar, Dubai, they've actually invited myself and a few other designers to actually already showcase this. I'm just waiting for Umi to do it.
Yes, please.
That means they have already recognized us outside. It's just high time for the locals to recognize us.
How about for Umi? What do you want to see in the future?
I do envision this. I don't know if it's possible in Brunei one day. I want to have a fashion mall where it's a big mall. Everything is about, fabric, lace. It's just one place, or there's tudong shop and then tailor. Yeah, I just want that one spot. Maybe one day I'll own it. I'll create it if I'm too successful. Yeah, and I do want some of the Brunei brands get recognized by the other country, especially in Southeast Asia. Because
That's a very nice point. I think just to add a little bit more onto that, I think what Umi is trying to say is that physically, fashion mall. Internally, I think it's the ecosystem that's very important, the fashion ecosystem. So you go from the supplier down to the designer, and then the designer you go to the client. Or it's actually, when I say it's an ecosystem, it means it goes circular. Yeah, it doesn't need to go backwards or forward. And then you've got the fashion photographers, you've got the fashion stylists, you've got the makeup artists. So this is the ecosystem that is going to work together in a circular way. And that's when we deliver what we can showcase to the world, right? Or, locally. I don't know if you've heard of this, but we've got a modeling agency already here in Brunei.
Yes.
1001.
1001.
So 1001, they've got really good models and they've got really good vision. They have the creativity. I'm a very loyal client, so I like to do that. I used to have models outside of Brunei to do this for me, but now that I see that Brunei has one, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Money in Brunei also.
Exactly. Economy.
Before this, you were saying that you see Umi as your past self. Maybe you can talk to her, asking her how an advice to your younger self for a person that's just started off fashion designer trying to establish their work in the community here. What would you give her as an advice, or anyone out there who's just like Umi's position?
The reason why I see Umi as my younger self is because whatever she did, right now in her first few years, is whatever I did back then. Because as I said, we didn't have the education, we don't have the resources to know how to move forward. I would say that do as much mistakes as you can. Cliche, I know, very cliche, but it's the truth. That's how you learn, right? If you need support, you can always talk to me. I'll give you my number after this. If you need support, because back then I didn't really have a person to talk to, especially when it comes to a fashion designer. I would just Google my way and then look for answers. And right now there is a lot of resources out there. Don't just rely on something that is based in Brunei, because as I said, Brunei is still in the early market, right? Look for what they advise or what they have online. I don't want to be very vague here, but there's a lot of resources online right now compared to when I first started. Right now, there's just tons. You go on Google, there's just tons.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. I can just check YouTube for fashion runways.
Exactly.
I can check Pinterest. I can read fashion magazine, through PDF. That's it.
And online courses now are $10?
Yeah.
Back then, you have to invest in freaking $20,000 to just study fashion. And then, as I said, now, especially the youth, is very lucky to be living in this time of age. And I would say that I'm also lucky because I'm also continuously learning, right? Another thing that I'd like to say to my younger self, or to the younger audience out there who is really interested into doing fashion, is find yourself, find your aesthetic, find your branding is very, very important. Just don't do something that is, okay, you know what? This is me. This is what I am. I'll just put it out there. That's it. Try your best to find something that really resonates so much in you, and then put it into vision, saying that, this is me. And then do it very small, minimal steps. Don't force yourself into it. And then it's something that I also struggle with, because it's something that I feel like okay, I need to do it now. I need to do it perfectly. However, I think you just don't force it. Enjoy the ride. Take the break when you need to take the break, because the break is very important. If you're gonna force it, you're gonna mess up your brand or your aesthetic or your design so much that it's gonna compromise quality. And then focus and be consistent. Consistency is also something I'm still working with, but because I know my brand so much, I want to constantly evolve. I have no regrets when it comes to making my mistakes 13 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago even. I learn, because if I don't know my mistakes, if I don't know my challenges, how am I going to evolve from there, right? Yeah. And I think it's a cliche answer, but it's the truth. It's what I'm experiencing right now. And sabar, you will get there. Don't worry.
Trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process. You will get there.
She's basically a fashion mom.
She is.
A fashion Kardashian.
A fashion Kardashian.
A fashion, what's her name now? Oh my God.
It's
What's
Chris?
her name?
Kris
Jenner?
Jenner? they would call her
Momager.
like Momager,
Yeah, momager. Fashion momager. Ndala. It's just, my elderlies who have gone through fashion back then would say the same thing to me. And then it's just something that I've experienced. And I think that just trust the process. Enjoy the ride. Make as much mistakes as you want. Don't rush it. Yes, that's right. And don't avoid the mistakes, because it's bound to happen. I mean, Steve Jobs made a lot of mistakes. Steve Jobs. Yeah.
Steven.
Oh, right. Maybe it is.
Lastly, is there anything that you want to say or promote to the audience? You can do so. Starting with you, Balkish.
Oh well, Balkish has been so MIA this few years. If you want to design this upcoming Raya for a few details, you can just contact me on Instagram, balkish.official.
So as for me, you can follow me on Naforer, at Naforer on Instagram. I'm very, very active on social media, so you can just always DM me. I'm very friendly. I'll answer to questions. If you're a future bride, you can holla. And we are going to be launching our ready-to-wear collection for Hari Raya next year. We're basically, our aesthetic this time is very much colorful. We're only going to be launching 6 designs, inshallah.
Now we have come towards the end of the podcast. But before you go, we would like to ask for your signature.
Oh, wow.
And you can write a few things on your canvas, so we can hang on the wall from previous episodes. Yeah. Let's just hand it in. Where's the marker pens? I think you have the markers at the you just grab it.
Which purple would you like?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll just take this one then.
While you're at it, we have some gifts for you as a to remember us by for the Spectrum podcast.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Spectrum. You've been swell.
Thank you for coming as our guest as well.
My pleasure.
Okay, so now we have finally reached the end of today's episode. We would like to say thank you so much for spending your time to be our guest today. You guys have been delightful.
We really enjoy doing this podcast, and we learn so much about the fashion industry in Brunei. And to the audience, we thank you for tuning in on another episode of the Spectrum podcast. I believe that it is all from us. Stay tuned for the upcoming episode, and don't forget to follow us on our social media platform at UBD Spectrum. See you next time. Bye!